Corals are probably one of the most weird, interesting little animals. It's easy to confuse them with rocks or plants for a reason. It's because they are quite a bit of everything. They are the basis of a whole ecosystem.
Coral reefs are very similar to forests in that they build an actual habitat. Those coral reefs are home to a quarter of all marine species around the world.
It is kind of like in your garden. Some grow fast, some grow slow, but they all contribute to this really beautiful mosaic of life. And that's what you see down on a reef, is this masterpiece.
My name is Mari Laura Sandoval.
I'm Dr. Joni Kleypas, but I really don't like saying Dr. Joni Kleypas. Joni is fine.
Well, right now we are in Puerto Jimenez, which is a small town in Peninsula de Osa, and we are lucky to have Golfo Dulce, which is where we work. And Golfo Dulce is unique, one of the few tropical fjords in the world, is one of the highest density of life that you will find in the world, a magical place, a place where biodiversity thrives. As much as this biodiversity depends on coral reefs also depend on the biodiversity that lives in them. And I will even include the human community.
Raising coral, you can think of it like just lifting them up, caring for them.
We are not only doing science, but we're actually nurturing the ecosystem. We're nurturing a community of people that can engage in this type of work.
I'm Dr. Orion McCarthy, and I am the science lead at SeaTree. SeaTree is a nonprofit that funds coastal restoration around the world, and we work across a variety of different ecosystems. We're here with Raising Coral, working together on a project to issue marine biodiversity credits to fund coral restoration and biodiversity monitoring. But we also help to tell their story.
Well, we're collaborating with SeaTree in a lot of different ways. It's not just about corals, it's about the whole mission.
My name is Leah Hayes. I am the program director at SeaTree. One thing that I really appreciate and what I find unique to the organization is our ability to look at the ecosystem as more than just what we're restoring and putting in the ground. On top of coral restoration, we're also funding workshops and training for coral gardeners. It's also been really wonderful to see a project that's women-led and that's so inclusive of eager volunteers to get involved.
That's something that Mari says all the time. She says, if you're going to do this right, you don't just build resilience in the reef, you build resilience in the people too.
Here in the Eastern Tropical Pacific is the hardest place where a coral could live.
It's a harsh environment. It gets hotter than the open ocean. What does affect the corals is the rainfall. So there's 4 big rivers that flow right into the Gulf. And in the rainy season, it's remarkable how much water comes out of the sky. They're influenced by all the things that fresh water brings into the Gulf: nutrients, herbicides, fertilizers. It lowers the salinity in the surface waters. It also forces the circulation in the Gulf. It's got a remarkable physical oceanography. If the corals that settle in Golfo Dulce can survive those conditions, they have some sort of secret for handling climate change as well. We feel like we can use this as an example of where corals can grow. We can also use corals that we grow here in Golfo Dulce, places that have not reached the same temperature level. Because they have evolved for so long, they've developed all these tricks, all these secrets to deal with environmental change. They can grow asexually, which means they can just break a piece of coral off and it starts growing a clone.
It could be waves, fish, or other animals in the reef. So these little pieces will break, but if the conditions are right, from there a new coral will grow. And so that's what we call microfragmentation. That's also a really powerful tool for restoration.
So right now what we're gonna do is use a technique called microfragging. This fragment, we will recut it in several pieces. From one little colony, we will have several, so we multiply the number. Because corals is not being able to take pace regarding coral bleaching, global warming, local stressors. So that's why we're doing what we are doing, which is just trying to figure out how can we grow coral on a sustainable and resilient way, so we can actually improve the state of the reef, because reefs are so important, super important.
Once we cut the pieces, they will go to our nursery where we can protect them and care for them. We track our genotypes. And so it's not just a coral that we're looking at, it's D30 baby that we know that is really good with temperature changes. And then we know D23 that needs a little more care. And we all love them, and we know how they grow, I know how they look different.
Being in the nursery, you're sort of suspended animation and you're putting those small fragments in the trees, right? It's just a beautiful, peaceful time. All you hear is your breathing.
It is quite a beautiful moment.
But planting corals is really the most fun.
Planting a coral has a transformative potential in people's life. When you have this restoration mindset, it's kind of more of a challenge. I felt I had found a mission and purpose.
Working with climate change for a long time does put you in the mindset of there's nothing you can do. Being able to cultivate even a small amount of reef is just so uplifting. And I think one of the most powerful parts of this is getting people engaged. The hands on the corals really changes people. I get broken up about it because most of them are volunteers or almost volunteers, right, to work with us. But they work harder than anyone I've ever worked with. And I mean that. Every week. Sometimes watching corals die, sometimes bringing them back. As a scientist, we usually go in like science is going to fix this. But for us, community has been the real key.
If we want to really understand the overall health of the ecosystem, we need to look beyond corals. We need to look at the fish, at the other ecosystem services, and really get a better understanding of how those are changing, especially in response to restoration, so that we know if our efforts are really having an impact on the ecosystem and on people.
On top of learning about the techniques that our restoration partners are employing, we're also here to upskill them and build capacity in photogrammetry monitoring.
Photogrammetry allows you to take this 3D model of the coral reef, this place that is out of view for most people, and to use it as a storytelling tool, to bring it above water and allow people to actually see change over time firsthand and to see specific impacts from restoration efforts. So we basically go around Golfo Dulce, where Raising Coral has a number of their restoration sites. We locate the boundaries of the site, we get in the water as a team, and then we swim back and forth over that plot in a grid, taking thousands and thousands of pictures with a phone. And those pictures will get reconstructed into a 3D model of the coral reef, which we can use to study how the reef is changing and responding to their restoration efforts.
We've been monitoring through the more classic methods, but photogrammetry is like a whole new level. It's going to add accuracy, it's going to add transparency, and it's also helping us to communicate visually to communities and partners what the restoration is looking like.
A key part of that is to make sure that the technology to do that monitoring is more broadly accessible.
Access to this technology is so important because it allows people to have the tools to see what's below the surface. And what we can see, we can connect to, and we can protect.
It's just giving the chance to a lot of groups and a lot of people. As we've given these scientific tools to the community as well, they've become more connected to the reef. It's wonderful. It's just opening the world a little bit more.
People who aren't in the conservation space often don't realize how much bandwidth and time goes towards fundraising. When you have a small organization like Raising Coral or any of these grassroots groups, the more time they spend on fundraising, the less time they can go out in the field. And when you have maybe 1 year of funding, you can't plan a long-term project. Oftentimes these long-term projects are the most impactful for the ecosystem because it takes a while for things to change. So what we're trying to do at SeaTrees is to not just fund the act of planting something, but a whole group of what we call stewardship activities, the long-term monitoring, the work with local communities, the efforts to protect the things that we've restored and to make sure they're maintained over time. Each individual coral would be a biodiversity block that when people buy one of those, they're funding that whole consortium of activities and have that sustained investment. So if there are setbacks, that the local group on the ground isn't left holding the bag, that we're all in this together trying to affect change for this local community.
There is a group of people out there that feel like restoration is a waste of time and money, and I completely disagree with them. We're never going to save the reef unless we get humans on board to save them.
People have this misconception that coral reefs are already gone, which is the downside of too much doom and gloom narrative. People ask, why are you studying reefs? Aren't they already doomed? Or I thought we lost all of those. I thought the Great Barrier Reef was dead, which is, I think, a really big tragedy that people have just accepted and moved on when coral reefs are still here and people still depend on them. Now that we have the technology to do so, I would show them a visual example from real data of a coral reef recovering and then tell them a story of why.
I truly do think that the root of the environmental conundrum that we see ourselves in comes from this sense that we're disconnected, that we're not a part of the world around us. What I like to do is always bring it back to our human body. None of the organs in our body operate on their own. They all operate in an intertwined system. So it's very similar when we think about a rich, biodiverse ecosystem.
Resilience is not just something you hope for, it's something you build. And I do feel we are building that. We're building it through science. And then you have all of this community that is engaged with this science and is ready to take on the challenge of making it work. And seeing that every day happening keeps me hopeful and keeps me going.
You know, for a long time, people have depended on corals, even without knowing that they did. But now, because corals are reaching their limit, they need us. It's time for us to become a symbiotic partner with the reefs.